All right, so today we are diving into the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Apple's latest and greatest.
We've got a super in-depth review here from RechargeMyTopup.com.
Yeah, this one is really something.
And they cover all the bases from the new titanium frame.
Which is a first for iPhone.
Yeah, to the camera system.
It's pretty amazing what they've done with the camera this time around.
But of course,
That price tag.
it's definitely an investment.
Yeah, for sure, but
Well, that's what we're here to figure out today. Is it actually worth it?
let's break it down.
So let's start with that titanium frame.
Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a cosmetic thing.
No, this is serious engineering.
The review highlights how incredibly durable this phone is.
They say it's practically scratch-proof.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's actually lighter than previous models.
Titanium is incredibly strong,
Yeah.
but also very light.
Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Right, it's like the best of both worlds.
So you get that premium feel without the extra weight. And speaking of protection, we can't forget about the ceramic shield on the front.
And that super tough Corning glass on the back.
I mean, this phone is built like a tank.
I'm almost tempted to say you could ditch the case.
Right. Almost, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
But it's definitely tempting.
Especially with that new natural titanium finish.
Oh yeah, that color is stunning.
Super sleek.
Very sophisticated.
Like holding a piece of the future.
Okay, but let's talk about the display, because wow.
That 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR display.
Yeah, 2,000 nits of brightness.
That's brighter than most laptops.
Which basically means you can use this phone in direct sunlight.
And still see everything perfectly.
Plus the colors are so vibrant.
And then there's the HDR support.
Oh yeah, watching movies on this thing is incredible.
It's like having a personal cinema in your pocket.
And we can't forget about that 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate.
Makes everything so smooth.
Scrolling animations,
Even gaming.
it just feels so responsive.
It's one of those things you have to experience to really appreciate.
All right, but let's get under the hood.
Let's talk about that A17 Pro chip.
This thing is a beast.
Built on a 3-nanometer process.
Which, for those who don't speak tech,
It's basically like cramming a supercomputer into a tiny chip.
yeah, it's insane.
And it's not just about speed.
No, the A17 is also incredibly efficient.
Yeah. Which is how they managed to get such great battery life.
Okay, so we've got this super powerful CPU
An upgraded GPU for graphics.
and an even more advanced neural engine,
That's the brains behind all the AI features.
like face recognition.
And voice processing.
And of course, we can't forget about the 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, that's a lot of memory.
It means this phone can handle anything you throw at it.
Multitasking is a breeze.
No lag whatsoever.
That's impressive.
All right, now for the main event,
The camera.
this is where the iPhone 15 Pro Max really shines.
We're talking a triple camera system,
With a 48 megapixel main sensor
a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens,
and a 12 megapixel telephoto lens with 5x optical zoom.
which means you can get those amazing close-up shots without losing any detail.
Yeah, it's like having a professional camera in your pocket,
Plus, they've introduced this new photonic engine.
which basically works magic in low light.
Yeah, it brightens up shadows and
Yeah.
brings out details you wouldn't normally see.
It's pretty incredible what they've done with computational photography.
And for the pros out there,
We've got ProRAW and ProRes video recording.
which gives you so much flexibility in post-production.
Yeah, this phone is a content creator's dream.
And they haven't forgotten about the selfie camera either.
Nope, that's got an upgrade too.
Improved low-light performance.
And enhanced portrait mode.
So your selfies are going to look better than ever.
So we've got all this power and all these amazing features.
But what about the battery life?
That's the question everyone wants to know.
Right, because usually more power means less battery life.
But somehow Apple has managed to pull it off.
The iPhone 15 Pro Max can apparently last a full day.
even with heavy use.
And that's thanks in part to that efficient A17 Pro chip.
But they've also made some improvements to the battery itself.
And they've got a more advanced power management system.
So it's like they've optimized everything for maximum battery life.
It's impressive.
And when you do need to recharge,
We've got 35-watt wired charging.
which is super fast,
You can get up to 50% charge in like 30 minutes.
it's a lifesaver.
And of course, you still got MagSafe and Qi wireless charging.
So plenty of options there.
Yeah, whatever works best for you.
Okay, so let's talk software.
iOS 17.
It's got some really cool new features.
Customizable lock screens.
Improved privacy controls.
New messaging features.
And overall, it just feels really polished and refined.
It's a nice upgrade.
And one of the biggest changes,
The USB-C port.
Apple has finally ditched the lightning connector.
which means you can use the same charger for your iPhone and your iPad or MacBook.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Plus, USB-C opens up a whole world of possibilities for accessories.
And data transfer is way faster.
It's a good move.
Yeah, definitely a step in the right direction.
So overall, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a pretty amazing phone,
But it all comes down to that price tag.
starting at $1,199.
It's a tough pill to swallow,
It is.
but we'll dig into that more in the next part of our deep dive
We'll compare it to the competition.
and try to figure out if it's really worth that premium price.
Stay tuned. Okay, so we've talked about all the specs and features, but let's get real for a second.
Yeah, what's it actually like to use this thing?
Does it live up to the hype?
That's the question everyone wants to know, right?
Well, from what we're seeing in early reviews, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is no joke.
The A17 Pro chip is a beast.
Seriously, this thing is a powerhouse.
Apps launch instantly. Games run buttery smooth.
It's like a whole new level of performance.
And that 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate,
Yeah.
it makes such a difference.
Rolling is so smooth.
Everything just feels so fluid and responsive.
It's hard to go back to a regular display after you've experienced this.
And the camera,
Oh, yeah.
that's where this phone really shines.
They've really outdone themselves this time.
Especially in low light.
That photonic engine is doing some serious work.
It's like magic.
Photos that would have been grainy and dark before
Are now bright and detailed.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
And that 5x optical zoom on the telephoto lens
You can get so close to the action.
without any loss of quality.
It's like having a super zoom lens in your pocket.
And some reviewers are even saying the iPhone 15 Pro Max can compete with DSLRs in terms of image quality.
I mean, that's a bold statement.
But I can see why they're saying it.
The photos I've seen are incredible.
And of course, you've got ProRAW and ProRes video for even more control in post-production.
This phone is a dream come true for content creators.
But it's not just about power and specs.
No, a great phone is about the whole experience.
And iOS 17 definitely elevates that experience.
Yeah, it's a solid update.
They've added some really cool features.
Like those customizable lock screens.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
You can personalize your phone like never before.
And the improved privacy controls,
Apple is really serious about protecting your data.
which is great to see.
And the integration with other Apple devices is even better now.
Yeah, if you're using an Apple Watch or a Mac,
It's like they all just work together seamlessly.
makes life so much easier.
But okay, let's talk about the price again.
Yeah, we can't ignore that.
$11.99 is a lot of money.
There's no denying that.
So is it worth it?
I mean, it's a tough question.
You're definitely getting a lot for your money.
The A17 Pro chip, the amazing display, the camera system,
It's all top of the line.
and Apple products tend to hold their value really well.
So it's an investment.
But of course, there are other great phones out there for less money.
It really depends on your needs and priorities.
If you want the absolute best and you're willing to pay for it,
Then yeah, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a serious contender.
but if you're on a tighter budget,
Or you don't need all the bells and whistles.
there are other options out there.
So it's really up to you to decide what's best for you.
But no phone is perfect.
And there are always some trade-offs to consider.
So in the next part of our deep dive,
We're going to take a closer look at some of the potential downsides
we'll explore the compromises.
and help you decide if the iPhone 15 Pro Max is truly the right phone for you.
All right, so we've talked about all the great things about the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Power, the camera, the sleek design.
But it's time to get real.
No phone is perfect.
And there are always some things to consider before you shell out over $1,000.
So let's dive into some of the potential downsides.
Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
That price tag.
I know we've touched on it before.
But it's worth repeating.
$1,199 is a serious investment.
And for some people,
It might just be too much.
especially when there are other great phones out there for less money.
So you really have to weigh your options.
And ask yourself if those premium features are worth the premium price.
And speaking of features,
Some people might be a little disappointed that Apple didn't do anything radically different this time around.
yeah, it's more of an evolution than a revolution.
They've refined the existing features.
Made everything faster and smoother.
But there's no, mind-blowing new technology.
So if you were hoping for something truly groundbreaking,
You might be a little underwhelmed.
and then there's the whole USB-C thing.
Yeah, that's a big change.
I mean, it's great in the long run.
Everyone's moving to USB-C.
It's the future.
But it does mean you might have to replace some of your old cables and accessories.
If you've got a drawer full of lightning cables,
You're going to need to invest in some new ones.
but hey, at least you'll be able to use the same charger for your phone and your laptop.
That's a win.
And speaking of the Apple ecosystem,
It's great if you're already all in,
Everything just works together seamlessly.
but it can also feel a bit like a walled garden,
You're kind of locked into using Apple products,
which might not be a problem for some people,
but it's something to consider.
especially if you like to have the freedom to switch between different brands.
And of course, personal preference plays a big role too.
Some people just prefer Android phones,
Or they might be loyal to a different brand.
and that's totally fine.
There's no right or wrong answer here.
It's all about finding the phone that's right for you.
Damn.
So at the end of the day,
The iPhone 15 Pro Max is an amazing phone,
there's no doubt about that.
but it's not for everyone.
It's expensive,
Doesn't have any revolutionary new features.
and it might lock you into the Apple ecosystem,
But if you can afford it,
and you're looking for the best possible iPhone experience.
then it's definitely worth considering.
So there you have it.
Our deep dive into the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
We've covered the good, the bad, and everything in between
Hopefully this has helped you make a more informed decision.
about whether this phone is right for you.
And if you're still on the fence,
We encourage you to do your own research.
read reviews, watch videos,
And most importantly,
go to a store, and try the phone out for yourself.
because at the end of the day,
The best way to know if a phone is right for you
is to hold it in your hand.
and see how it feels.
So that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of tech.
Until then, stay curious.
And keep exploring your